So let's go ahead and start by opening paint.net. Let me make sure here. Microphone is good. Logitech HD webcam is turned on. Let's get back to work. Okay, so paint.net. So what we're going to do today is we're going to work on sprites. Now, the software I usually use is paint.net. It's pretty much, it's not made by the same group as Microsoft Paint, but it's pretty much a pro version of that. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make a new project, and I'm going to kind of outline what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So if we go, actually no, I don't need to open one. I can just go to here. Image, canvas size, and we're going to resize the canvas to the aspect ratio that I want to make the base sprite we're going to work from, and that would be about 64 by 64 pixels. Alright, and 96 pixels is 1 inch. Alright, so what we're going to do today, and let me go ahead and make sure this is transparent. Alright, hardness. Anti-aliasing off. And what we're going to do first is we're going to make a, well, no, actually I'm going to adjust this a little bit more. So, adjustments, image, let me resize it down to, let's maintain aspect ratio just so I don't have to put this on twice. Let's downsize it to 32 pixels. So this is going to be about the size of one sprite. Now, what I usually like to do first is I like to outline what I want the sprite to look like. Now, for this game, what I'm thinking about sprite style-wise is I want to make a very simple sprite style that's fairly easy to animate, but focus on things like shading or, I guess more so the coloring. So I want the make sprites that are simple and easy to animate. There are people who are really good at sprite art who are probably better to watch on this because I'm decent at best. What I try to do usually is I try to focus on making a distinctive style. And the one game I looked at recently that I think might have a style that we can not copy, but definitely emulate. If anyone is familiar with Death Road to Canada. So, I have this game on my Switch, and I'm not going to bring my Switch in and connect it so we can get a good idea on the sprite art. But if you look at this, oh, that's a physical release. Sorry, I didn't know that. I absolutely love this game to death. It is so fun. But if you look at the sprite style for something like this, like, it's fairly simple, fairly expressive, and the way that they move is just those legs going up and down. So I want to take that whole idea of square legs. So, actually, yeah, let's go to character. And this shows your special character sprite sheet. So if you look at, like, the characters here, they're all designed fairly simply. You have kind of a base that you can work off of, where you have things like the legs, and then a slight bit of the upper torso, and then probably a face added in. And if I remember correctly, most of the stuff they do is parody. But what I want to do is I want to take a sprite style like this. And if we make one that looks really good, it's going to be our little thumbnail character. So, I need to find an image of the sprite. Death Road to Canada, sprites. Yep, spritersresource.com. This is usually the site I recommend to people. But if you look at how they do it, they usually make separate heads, separate clothing. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a look over at special clothes here. So what they actually do is they animate things like arms separately. But if you look at how their special clothing items look, actually, Death Road to Canada might not be the best way to represent this. Actually, yeah, I think I know what might be a better way. So if we were to look at basic RPG Maker sprites, because that's probably what I'm most familiar with, and I know I have those in here. So if I were go into my RPG Maker folder, go into Project 2, Image, and then actually no, let's do this from Project 1. So that way we can actually have the original characters in here. And actually, since I want to start by doing Symphonia, this will actually be kind of a fun thing to do. So if we go into characters, and then it should be funny story. In the files for Chorus Symphonis 1, Symphonia's name is actually Ikana, because that was her original name when the game was being created. So let's open Ikana default here, and this is the default look for Symphonia. I'm going to go ahead and hit, and let me go ahead and open with, should be a, yep, open with paint.net. And if you go into here, you'll see that when you have a simple sprite style like this, and here, let me do one thing that I usually try to do when I'm working on sprites, and that is pick a background color. Usually you want something that contrasts with everything else you have on here, but I usually make it a separate layer anyway. So you have that, and then where did my actual bucket, where did my tools go? Oh, right here, okay. So, you see how the sprite for a character, usually what you want to do is you want to make something simple. Because you see how there is very little change between this sprite, and the middle one kind of looks fairly simple as well, especially when you have something like an RPG. What you want to do is you want to make a fairly simple sprite that you can do a whole lot with. Things like asymmetry, for example, that's going to add a little bit of complication. Like if you look at how the pauldron on here looks slightly different, or how Symphonia's scarf looks different on different sides, you're going to have some character differences that you want to account for. However, the easiest way to do it in Game Maker is to change sprite scaling, which we will actually get to in this video once the sprites are a decent ways done. So, with this being the size that it is, what I want to do first is I want to go ahead and outline about what I want for my sprites. So I'm going to go ahead and add a background here. Since it's Symphonia, I think that a green shade would work for the background color. That way, let me go ahead and do something here. I'm going to rename this layer to skeleton. You don't need to do this, it just helps you keep organized. So on the skeleton layer, this is where we're going to actually work on the base sprite. So this base sprite model is going to pretty much be taken and used for every single character. So for legs, I want to do something fairly simple. Now, if we were to go and hop back over to Death Road to Canada really quickly. So if you have, with them, how the clothes usually work pants-wise, go ahead and download the sheet so we can actually get a good look at it. Yeah, open with paint.net. And I'm going to go ahead and do what I was going to do, or what I did with the other ones, and add a background layer so we can actually see what's going on here. Granted, with some of the pants it might not look good, but we just need to look at one of them. So if you see what they will do here for their steps, it's literally just they take one leg up and then they put the other leg up. And I think doing something like that will work fine. Now with Death Road to Canada, theirs are fairly small. If I remember correctly, the average character is maybe only 5 to 6 pixels tall. Maybe we should go down a little bit now that I think about it. Give me 1 second. So what I want to do here is I'm going to adjust this yet again, and I want to show something with how this works. If we go back to image and we resize the canvas to 32 by 32 might not be the best to start with. Let's go down to 16 by 16. because that's about half that size, and that way we can focus on making a really good small sprite. If we need to go up from that, that is easier to do than going down in size later. So I want to go back over here and, oh shoot, yeah. Of course it did. Alright. So if we look right over here, I want to say these are only like 2 thick a piece. Yeah, these are only 2. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do something similar to that. I would say I want to make them a little bit thicker, but not too much thicker. So maybe about like that would be good for starting with the legs. Now, they have a waist piece and a torso piece. I'm not really going to worry about that. Right now, we're just kind of making a black outline to work with. So I'd say about right there. Looks pretty good. And then if we look at the sprite here, because this is Symphonia's original sprite, so when we get into the actual coloration and everything, I'm going to reference this back to this one. But if we were to look at the size of these sprites, these are 32 by 32. If we look at this one, this is 16 by 16 right now. So it's a fairly tiny sprite. There's not too much we can really do with it compared to the other one, but I would rather make these sprites smaller and easier to animate, because particularly with the state system I mentioned, if we want to add unique animations for enemies and player characters with states, that's going to take a whole lot of effort. So it'd be better to simplify this art style than it would be to... Geez, why does it keep doing that? Here, I'm going to go and put a layer back here. Alright. Black. Okay, so... I don't know why it keeps doing that. But this... Oh, and I forgot to do one more thing. It should be over my chat here, live chat. Okay. This right here is going to be kind of our base for what we have right... I just realized what it looks like. And alright, I didn't intend to do that, but I guess Among Us is in the game now. Darn it. But yeah, let's go back here. So... with these, there's only a 1 pixel space between. I think ours has a 2. Yeah, let's go ahead and take it down a tad. So if we were to down this to 1 space between the legs, yeah, that looks a little bit better. And what I kind of want to do is I would rather make these sprites taller. So if I go like this and make the legs a little more skinny, that kind of looks more so like what I'm going for. So then there's that, and then what I want to do is I think ideally I want to make the head a fairly big part of the body. So if we were to look at how, like, these are all pants. I think they, yeah, with shirts, I want to make the head fairly big compared to the actual body. But the issue is you need to widen it out to do that. So if we, first off, let's make it a little shorter. There. Actually, yeah, it's about 2. And then... how's that? I think it's a little big. Yeah, what we want to ideally do is I forgot I'm starting out by making a side view. So what I want to do is I want to make it feel like a side view, but I want a very simple walking style for it. Like, I want something that looks fairly not cheap, but very expressive, but very simple. So I need a decent amount of space on the heads, but I don't want them to look like they're in big head mode constantly either. So maybe what we should do is we should start with the head. So with that being said, let's start by, I'm going to make an earlobe, like the ear right here, and that is a little big, so control that. It would be control Z, Z, Z. All right, let's do earlobe right about here. Then we would have the head. Oh, yep, because it's going to go down like 2 more there. And then come out right here. That's the chin. Now, if you have one like that, you can show the eye on one side, but it doesn't really give a lot of space to do anything with that face. However, if I go down like this, widen that out. Actually, I do have one issue with it. If we, yeah, why don't we do that? Because that way we have more space on the head. And then I'm going to extend this up a little bit here in a second. But yeah, erase that corner pixel. And yeah, I think that's about the size of head I want. Because that way, let me just show something, for example. Because this is what I also like to do when I'm checking how expressive or how much stuff you can fit into a sprite. Take it like as a red or some other color that you can easily define from whatever else you're working on. And there, that's your range of expression. And then let's just add the eyebrows in as well, just because. Actually, if I put the eyebrows down here, it looks fine. But here's my issue. That head is still a little. My options are kind of widen it out a tad, or well, actually, if I do this. Yeah, widen it out a tad. It looks like a little teacup, yeah. Let me go ahead and check that now. So if we were to do, I wanted to have the ability to have eyes and pupils in there. So yeah, your eyes will be fine. And then for eyebrows, I'm gonna do what I did earlier and use the blue. Yeah, what I'm going to actually do here is I'm going to cut the lines out when I actually do the finalized design. And then let's say we widen the eye out just a tad on that side. So like that. Yeah, that looks about right. Then we're going to ignore noses because noses aren't really too important for what we're trying to do. And then I want to make the mouth, so let's do purple for the mouth. So we have that amount of range for the mouth. Okay, that seems about good to me. We can make fairly expressive faces like this. Now, it's about making the rest of the body. And this is where it's going to get really weird. Because what we could do is we could make a really weird style where they're just heads with legs that go up and down. But I kind of feel like I need to put a torso in there. So let's look at... See, the only issue with looking at Death Road to Canada sprites for this. So I want to just point one thing out really quickly. These usually are all put together sequentially, where it's this piece, and this piece. But it's also a game where they manipulate how the 3 pieces interact. It's not a game where where you are movement-wise is always 100% important. Yeah, see, look, that's how they walk. It's just legs going up and down. Yeah, we can work with this though. So look at those kind of heads, and what I usually like to do is just change how heads work anyway. Because what we could maybe do is take that idea and then with things like swords or weapons, take what they do too and have them kind of float around the character. Because that way, if we have a chorus attack in a specific direction, for example, it's just going to pull a sword or a knife or whatever weapon sprite you have out and then shoot it. I do want to make the bodies a little taller than this, though. Like, I don't want it to feel as goofy. So let's go ahead and make one adjustment here. So, image, canvas size, and I'm going to increase the, first off, maintain aspect ratio. No. We're going to increase the canvas size. Let's double the height. So 32. Go. And you just need to make sure that you tell it that the top is what you want. All right, let me go ahead and delete it. And skeleton, we need to go ahead and start working on the rest of this body. So let's zoom out a tad just so we can get a good idea for it. So I still want this to be kind of the big focal point, but let's take a look at one thing. With how their necks connect to their body, it's usually the head sunken forward a bit. So let's say the body connects right about here. And going across. I don't have an actual drawing tablet. There's some people I know who prefer to use one for sprite art. Personally, I prefer using keyboard and mouse just because I'm used to using that. I'm more so a coder than a sprite artist, in all honesty. So it's a... But yeah, if you look at like this GIF, see what they do here is they just put one leg up and one leg down. And it's a fairly simple process. Like, the turkey's probably the best example of it. If you just wiggle your legs right while they're moving, it's not going to really bother people too much. Now what I want to do here is let's focus on the legs for a tad. So, I kind of want to just outline what the legs are going to look like first before I... 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it's 4 on that side and 3 on the other. I think I'm fine with that, because if they're facing different directions and everything, then if we just kind of erase right there and put it up like that, how does that look? Yeah, to me at least that looks fine. That has everything you would need to get that sprite to work. I would say the one thing I might also do is take the body size, and I'm just going to grab these and move them up, because I do like the taller sprite, don't get me wrong. But if we move this up to about right here, then that just kind of looks more... The legs don't... legs are still kind of long. Here. Yeah, that's about the right size I want for that. Now, layer 2, and let's start actually making our palette. Now, this is probably the most important thing that you want to decide when you start making your sprites, is how colorful do I want to make them? Am I going for a particular style? With this game, I want to kind of give it a fairly minimalist art style when it comes to these sprites. So I'm going to probably pick like three colors for each of them, and then maybe give them shader variants. So I'm going to hit the add layer button right here so we can get to work on this without really messing up with anything else. So first we need skin tones. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to pick one from here, because I think like this skin tone's about what I want. Oh, yeah, let's go to the actual Symphonia layer first. Alright, so let's see here. So if we were to fill that, does that look right? Like, does that look like about what we want? Yeah, I would say so. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm also going to take a... Actually, let me compare these. You know what? Yeah, I like this darker shade. I like the darker shade more. So I'm usually what I will do is I will make a palette over to the side so I know what colors I'm going to be using. And then for Symphonia, let's give her a blue, a red, and then every character is going to, of course, have a white as an option as well. I just find that those three colors are kind of the easiest to use. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to erase a few of those, and we're going to add actual color to this. So step one, I like to make a kind of sprite spread based off of the coloring for everything. So for that, it would be about like this. For this one, yeah, let's make one darker shade. And then a lighter shade right here. So that's about, those three look fairly similar. And then with this one, I would say once again, darker shade and lighter shade. And then white, I'm just going to keep as is. So let's start working on the face. So I kind of want to keep, but I usually find the best practices is you want to kind of outline the expressive part of the face in a lighter color. And then you take your darker shades and you go down below that, and that's a big part of where your just kind of general chin definition and things like that will come out. Also, I want to do colored outlines for this. I just feel like it'll end up looking better. Let's go ahead and, oh yeah, I need to keep that white. I need to change the white out because that's her hair color. But let's go ahead and do this really quickly. So now that we have these on here, I'm gonna go ahead and put the eyes on her body and put a mouth on there. Yeah, the eyes look about fine. I'm gonna make them more expressive in a bit, don't worry. But yeah, let's just leave Symphonia with those dead eyes. What I'm also gonna do is this right here, just so this doesn't feel so weird. And then with Symphonia, of course, we're going to have to put that mask on her. So we need to make sure that this mask does not intersect with those eyes. Yeah, that looks about right. Eyebrows are going to be white. Wait, yeah. So right about there we have the design for Symphonia's actual body. Let's go ahead and work on the hair for a bit. So we need a much darker shade. I'm going to put that right there. For this white, that is just a solid white. So let's put that over here. And then kind of pick a medium between the two. I would say about right there is good. Let's see how much you can tell that from the white. Yep, that's about good. So there's her eyebrows. And I want to do one more thing while I'm thinking about it. Let's actually work on pupils. So look at how pupils work. Yeah, generally speaking, you have the whites of the eye beside it. So if we do something like that on that one, and then on this one we can just kind of have the white of the eye. And I will put a darker shade right back here. That kind of looks like an eye scar. I just realized that. But we need to put the eyebrow over it. There we go. So now we have those two, and the mask needs to come up a tad. So if I were to do something like... Yeah, that looks more along what I'm trying to accomplish with her character design. Now, the hair is going to be the interesting part here. But first, let's kind of color this torso in, just so we can get a better idea for it. Because the torso is going to have a little more definition in it later. For a mix of factors. Yeah, if it's just that one. Erase the straggler. And... yeah, let's add the pants too, just while I'm thinking about it. Alright. That is kind of Symphonia's base design. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin to add more of the definition to the hairline. So I want to start by putting in... I usually like to put a darker shade around the outline of the hair. And let's put the hair going down like that on that side. So that way it looks like it's kind of draping down. Alright. Yeah, that's just how I usually do it, is I put an outline. And then I will do something like this, where I more so focus on getting a defined hair look. Yeah, like that's a fairly simple look for hair. Actually, what if I do this? Yeah, that actually that looks much more like what I was thinking. Because that has the look of Symphonia right there. Like if you were to compare these two, you could say, yeah, that looks like the same character. There is one more thing I probably should add that she had in the original, and there was a little crest right here. Maybe we can add a different design to that later, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. Let's just put it in as white and see if that works. It does not. Oh well. Okay, but I do like that hair design. I really like that hair design. Maybe what I should do is actually take the bottom part and redesign it, because I do really like that facial look. Because it's a fairly simple cube, and you can actually do a lot with it. Actually, let me make one more adjustment. So, image, canvas size. I'm gonna do the height up another few pixels. So let's do the height up to, not 64, I would say 48. And I'm gonna go ahead and delete from the skeleton layer right here. And image, resize. Alright, let me go ahead and make a few. Movements here. Alright, layer 4, let's move that up. There we go. And deselect. So that gives me a little bit more space to actually work with the hair. And then I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, let's just add the actual background to it. Yeah, that's a better shade of green. Because I prefer to use a muted color for the background. Just makes the sprite look a little better while I'm working on it. But yeah, that right there is about what I want shading-wise. Let me try something, actually, because I did have one idea on how to make this a little easier to do. If I were to add some shading onto the mask, down at, alright, so, well, first of all, with how pupils work, if I remember correctly, yeah, they get lighter at the top. They get darker at the top. So if I were to do something like, because I want to give the idea that the mask is metal, because that is the material it is in the original game. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put 2 reds down here. That way you have a very obvious, oh, that's the pupil. And then I'm going to take this this much lighter, more salmon-y red and put that down the middle. And then we're going to work from here. So let's add some red first of all. Kind of outline the top of it. And then a bit darker near the bottom. Yeah, that's about right there. Alright, and while I'm thinking about it, the hair was the other reason I actually expanded this out. So I want to add... I could just go out and do more outlining like that. However, I don't think that's really the best option. Mainly just because it'll end up looking fairly goofy if we keep doing it like that. But what we could do is just add a few, like, right there. And then I'm going to erase that little bit hanging off the side. And add, I want the hair to go down a little more. Because if we look at Symphonia's design here, she has some going over the sides of her face, which I could still do, and I actually, let's see how that would look. So if we did a white right here, because usually when I do an upper layer, I like to do it in white. Now that connects to the eye socket, so we can like do it right there, but that's about it. Actually, what if we made the eyebrows a darker shade? And then if we want to make this look lighter right here, I'm just thinking, how can we make this let's keep the lighter shade on the eyebrows. Alright, so we have Symphonia's head. That's a good start. Let's go ahead and work on the actual body. So, the body right here is fairly tiny, but I actually, while I'm thinking about it, I do want to check something. So we can have a fairly decent amount of expression out of this, even though it's fairly small. So, like, if we wanted to, say, move her eyes, she could tilt the head forward a bit to look forward, or we could add blushing effects. It's not going to be until we have chorus that we can really see what and all we can do facial-wise. Because with Symphonia, the mask is very much... that has to be there for plot reasons. So, yeah, let's see here. So, ear shows back behind there. But let's look at what we can do scarf-wise. Because she has a scarf that goes down the side right here. And I want to take that salmon color. Because I feel like that would be perfect for it. Yeah, because it kind of contrasts that mask fairly well. And then if we were to put it off to the side like that... and then maybe have it... that would probably be given its own physics of some kind when it comes to animation. It's a term... a lot of people like to use the term keyframing it, where it's you will have specific objects where you animate it on its own, rather than... you give it point A and point B that it has to hit, rather than just animating it with everything else. And I might do that with her scarf. Just kind of keep the base body, but add the scarf in detail-wise later, if that makes any sense. So we're going to erase that. Yeah, for some reason with the eraser, you have to actually have it as an opaque paintbrush for it to work. But, yeah, what else am I gonna do here? I think I don't want that black line there. So I'm going to also go ahead and do that. And then let's keep the scarf down just a tiny bit. Now for the skeleton. Let's make a few modifications here. So, first off, yeah, that's about more size-wise what I'm looking for. Because if we were to make them about this tall, then what we can do is we can just make the legs very, very skinny. And I doubt anyone's going to question that. So if we do legs at about 3 by 3, take a look at that. Yeah, legs at about 3 by 3. That actually looks halfway decent. And then we can also put like an arm right here. So for arms, I'm not going to actually give them arms in this sprite set. It will be attached to whatever weapon they're holding. So yeah, that's like an arm. And then on the back, there's going to be another. Let me go ahead and I'll move that palette here in just a second. Let's see here. Yeah. That's the other arm. And this one's actually going to be showing. So just kind of leave it like that. So that way it's a fairly... It's going to go down quite a bit. But we have the arms, we have the legs. Let's get back to shading everything in. So, this might be easier to do if we put one tab like this, and then move the other. Wait. Oh wait, no, they always open on the same, yeah. But if we look at this Symphonia model, there's a brief layer of skin, and I kind of want to keep that here, because I feel like it fits her character to have that little bit of skin under the scarf showing. So yeah, there's a little bit of skin there, and now we get into the actual body, which is where things are going to get kind of interesting here. So I'm just outlining a few things first. So all this right here, this is where our arms are. With that being about where a break is. Yeah, look at that. So that's going to be about as far as that goes, but let's go ahead and add the color to it. So, I mean, there's no way to say this without sounding weird. We need to make sure to animate the chest area. Like, well, not really animate, excuse me, that's the wrong word. We need to add, like, proper molding to that area, I guess. So let's kind of start with that. Actually, yeah, this needs to be separated first of all. And then I'm also going to, while I am thinking about it, take some time here to make her arm a little thicker. There. So now her arm's thickened out. And yeah, since it's gonna be metal, go. It actually looks fairly decent. Like, I like that with the yeah, if we kind of just keep the blue going down the middle, and then I'm going to give a little bit more detailing to the sides here in just a second. But if you look over here, you can clearly see her arm, and I mean, it's not that hard to tell that that is indeed an arm. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add some definition to these plates. So in the original, she had red on one side. I like the idea of giving red pauldrons on both. So there we go. She has a that way you can easily tell, hey, that's an arm, right there. And you need to actually, I'm going to shade that one bit here darker. Go. Yeah, and that way we can actually animate hands and all that separately. Because if you were to look at, granted, theirs does not have any hands whatsoever, but I kind of need hands for cutscenes and need the space to work with arms. So we're just going to leave that open. Actually, you know what I probably should do is take this down by 1. So if we, let's see how it looks if we take that arm and we just shrink it by 1. So rather than being that thick, it's about this thick. Let's turn the skeleton off first. Yeah, that looks about right. Alright. Then I'm gonna go ahead and move those to down in this corner right here where they're not really going to intercept anything. And I'm also going to take my eraser and erase that little part of the skeleton just so it doesn't really affect how I'm seeing things here. Alright, actually let me check one more thing while I'm thinking about it. So, does it look better with a... No, not that. Does it look better with a darker blue there? And then I'm gonna go ahead and add a lighter blue to this. There we go. Yeah, mostly just because that way you can tell. But yeah, let's take a look here. So how we're gonna do this is it usually sags down a tad. So that right here, I would say. And then right about here, that's the kind of, I don't want to make, I feel like that's a little much. Let's go up just a tad. And if someone accuses me of being kind of perverted with this, here's the thing. Anatomically, like, it would look weird if I didn't do this. That's all I'm saying. Let's see here. Yeah, we can do something like that, where it's a. Actually, let's do kind of a blue here. That way, you know, it's it kind of matches with all the other stuff we have over here. Oh yeah, that looks a little better. I might want to choose. Let me do one thing, since I don't have a whole lot of this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change that shade of blue. And this is something you also want to keep track of early on. Is, do my shades look, you know, a little bad for what I'm trying to do? So let's see if that, oh, that blue looks a little better, yeah. See, like, that looks more natural than this one does, than the old one did for this kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of blue to that pauldron. Yeah, if we do something like that, because then what we can actually do is right here, we can define the pauldron out more. So do something like that, and now it looks like it's actually, you know, part of an armor set going out to the side. Actually, let's do that. And we have the arm defined out here. So yeah, that's kind of her shoulder. And then I want to take a look at this one more time. We need to look at her looking forward. Yeah, see, there's a little area right there. But I kind of want to, if I'm going to do this, let's drop it down just a tad. I don't think I want to keep the boob window. Just because that doesn't really, that does not fit the character now that I think about it. Yeah, because she's not supposed to really be a seductive character in any way, so what would be the point in that? There's an assassination thing. So I'm definitely keeping that arm though. But let's use this, and then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to fill the rest of this in. Just really quickly, so we can get a good idea. And then I'm going to also go ahead and like outline her boots and stuff like that, just so we can work up from here. Yeah, let's get that little dangly bit off the side. For boots, I'm going to use red again, so I would say right about here. Yeah, it's not a character with a skirt either, so it's not like... So if you look... Well, actually, she had a pleated battle skirt in the original, now that I think about it. Yeah, that's a pleated skirt. Well, we could actually do something like this. We could... If we start it from about the middle right here. Nope, that's not the middle. We can actually go out a tad and then let it kind of hang over the side here. Yeah, because that arm's gonna... I would say the pauldron's kind of the most important part of this design, though. We can do a little bit of redesigning here. So let's look at... I want to say in the original she does have kind of a red... Yeah, she does have like a red belt going across in the middle here. So if we keep that in the design, that will give us a definition of where like the body and torso meet. And usually I like to put that about where the arm is. So that way, yeah, here we go. That's our upper torso. This is the lower body. And about right here, yeah, let's add some skin showing right here, because you know that's right above the boot, so of course she's gonna kind of have a small bit there. Usually what I would do is I would try to shade it like a stocking or something, but yeah, if we do about like that, and then she doesn't really need that. When I think about it, yeah. You do something like that, and then let's go ahead and add a really dark part, and then a little bit lighter, and we have her hand right there. So what I can do is I can take this and kind of complicate it a bit. What I want to do is I want to start right here for a tad. So she does have silver highlights on the original armor, and I think I want to keep that to some extent. So let's use some silver right here to kind of outline bits of the armor. So if we do something like that, we have a yeah, and usually what I like to do is just kind of cap it with a little bit of a different color, so that way it looks like it's gonna go out. It gives it kind of that metallic feel if you do something like this, because then it looks like it's, you know, shading. Let's look back here. I do actually want this to go down one more now that I think about it. So I'm gonna put a little bit of space right here. And we are going to go ahead and put that little gap. Mostly because that skin gap just adds a little personality, I guess. I don't know. It just doesn't look right without there being at least something right here. I don't know. Do I look like an expert on this kind of thing? Yeah, there. That looks better. And then we're going to go ahead and add one more detail with this, and that is the kind of, I guess, the actual freaking outline. There we go. And if you look right here, it doesn't look like too much of a difference. But if what we do here is we make it go to a blue, it's much darker. For just kind of a brief bit, then it looks just a tad bit better. That one we can do here now is we can actually lighten that up a tad. So yeah, that whole thing looks a whole lot better like that. And then I'm actually going to take a lighter red to this. Yeah, that red is actually a little too bright to use as a border color. So what if we just did something like that? It's like, yeah, that, I'm getting to see why I use that darker red there. But, yeah, that kind of gives us more of an option with it, where it's like this, that's very clearly, oh, her sleeve goes down. Or, what I could also do here. There, now it looks like the pauldron. Actually, should be more like that if it is going to be on there. Because that way, you can tell it's the pauldron going out and not actually her arms that are that thick. Because it's going to go like that, where it goes back in. And yeah, that way we actually have like the top part, I would say, fairly well put together right now. And what I might actually do is add that red outline under here. Excuse me, add like a red right here, and then go to a lighter red directly under it. Yeah, because in game 2, her armor actually changed colors. So if we do something like that, then that looks more like what we're going for. Now let me do one more thing with the bottom part here. I'm going to go ahead and I want to check something with the skeleton. So if I erase these, does that look Oh, that looks pretty good, honestly, with that smaller style. Because what we're going to do is we're going to add the feet just go up and down for animations. So that part's fairly simple. Actually, what if I went ahead and I did this? What if I made the boots like more even? And then just shaded the front half to be a little more. Yeah, that seems about right. Honestly, that's probably more so what I should go for. And then for the actual skirt, I'm going to add a few details here. So I want it to go off to the side here, which I feel like that right there would be the best way to represent that in a particular one. And then with this one, let's just kind of have it go like that. Yeah, if we do something like that, that'll look more like it. And then with skirts, you're gonna have to animate fabric of some kind. Or what you can also do is kind of animate it so that the middle is a little darker, and then you put lighter patches over on the side. So like something like that would look nice. Maybe a little that. And yeah. Actually, I'm going to add one more detail here. So, I think I'm going to change something up with these pauldrons because I think it'll look better if I do. If I make these dark blue on the top and then it goes down and we put, here, let's go ahead and put the dark blue right there. We do red in the middle of the sleeve. So instead of blue right here, it's red. Then, yeah, that's a very clear line between, yeah, arm and sleeve. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish this section off really quickly. Actually, also, while I'm just thinking about it, that can kind of go. I'm going to go ahead and turn the skeleton section off. We don't really need it on right now. So we can go ahead and we can do this. If we do something like that, all right, that looks a whole lot better. I would say the arms are still a bit too wide though. So if we do something like that, where the arms are not as broad. Yeah, and then this one, let's bring it down to like 1. Let's see how that looks. Alright, and what I might actually go ahead and do is let's experiment with putting some darker shade in the middle here. Actually, they're yeah, those are a little too big. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's work on that really quickly, because that's going to keep bothering me if those are unintentionally absolutely massive. Here, that seems about more where I'm going for. And let's just cut in a tad. There. So yeah, that's tasteful. That feels a little more tasteful. Well, and let's do one more thing. Just before I forget, what if I went ahead and I just kind of took the gray shade and put it under that instead? Shoot, that gray's a little too similar. How about a darker gray instead? I mean, either that or we could just kind of ignore it for right now. I'm kind of just trying to get an idea of, I don't want anything to look wonky animation-wise. And that would be a prime suspect on something that would. But if we just don't worry about them, yeah, they doesn't feel like as big of an issue as I thought it would be if it's just not there. And then we can also, let's go out 2 more with each of these and see if that does anything. Because if we do something like this, then that still gives us those broad shoulders, but it also gives us enough space to work with the stress here for a second. So I was about to say, we do have more than enough space to add a few things in. So let's put one split in the armor right here. Let's say like there. But for the most part, there's not really too much more I can do. Actually, what if we just got rid of the arms entirely? That actually works. That works. The only thing I might do is just take a little bit off right there, and so it doesn't look so weird. Oh, shoot, yeah, no, that. Oh. If you do something like that, that looks a slight bit more accurate to what I want to do as well. And then we can just take this lighter shade, we can do that. Scarf's gonna be added later, but for right now, yeah, that gives us. We don't really need to add arms to these characters right now, so. But yeah, that gives us. That looks like Symphonia. That looks like her. That looks good. I want to do one thing though. I want to shorten the character a tad, because I feel like the character's gotten a little lanky. So I'm gonna zoom out. That seems about right. And it ended up being a sprite that is around 13 by 21, which that is not a bad size. That gives us enough to kind of express with this if we want to. I think I've been doing this for like an hour now. I want to say it's been an hour. Yeah, a little over an hour. So, we have our sprite. Let me do something. I'm going to Control C so I have this copied. And let's do File New. And this one, instead of being 13 by 21, we are going to make the animations for this one just so we can move it around. So let me go ahead and deselect that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit. I'm going to actually, excuse me, adjust image, canvas size. I'm not really worried about maintaining aspect ratio. So width, let's bring the width up to 70. And I'm going to do it from that direction onward. And we can just hit, shoot, yeah, that might be an issue. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. I'm just going to add a actual bit to the background, a little bit of a background so we can actually work with this. Let's Control C. Actually, so we go ahead and we Control C, Control V. And now we have an exact duplicate right here. And I'm going to make the first step of the walking animation, which this is going to be, as I said, a fairly simple walk cycle. So all we're going to do is we're going to take one of these legs and we're going to do this. Actually, what if I did, maybe it would be better to grab like an entire chunk like that. And move selected, up. Wait, deselect, okay. No, I think I figured it out. So, Control C. Paste, Control V, let's go to the background right here, and I'm going to go ahead and erase that leg. Alright, and let's see how that looks when it's... Alright, yeah. That's about what I want, because that way, that is a fairly simple looking animation. And then let's do this one more time. So Control C, Control V, undo that. Oh, background. Control C, Control V, and I'm going to go ahead and deselect. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control C, Control V. Yeah, there's only one between them. Hit deselect. We're going to grab this foot this time. Control X. Control V. Hit. Alright. So, there is our walk cycle. It's a very simple sprite, but this is kind of a placeholder. So let's go ahead and file, save as, and I have my thumbnails here, but let's make some folders for this game. So data D, And I'm going to go over to Game Maker Projects, CS Remake, Data Files, Options, Fonts, Objects, Sprites. Okay. See, you can't really import it directly into the game from outside of it, but what we can do is we can make this a PNG, and I'm going to go ahead to my desktop here, and I'm going to make a new folder, because there's actually a program I use to split my sprites up. So I'm going to call this folder CS Remake SPR. And let's call this Symphonia Proto. Save. Okay. Flatten. There we go. And this image is done. What I need to do now is I have a program for this. So I'm going to go over to my desktop here, and there is a program I have. I want to say it's in my personal sprites. No. Oh, wait. Games. Sprite Unpacker. ASU.exe config. Wait, that's Audacity. Excuse me. ASU.exe. Okay. And I'm going to change the export location to, let's go to CS Remake Sprites, new folder, Symphonia. And I'm going to go ahead and Control C. Control V that. And you have to drag and drop the image into here. So there's our Symphonia file. If we drag and drop it into here, it should let us just go ahead and options. All right, here we go. All right, I think it's under options. If we hit export selected, I think it automatically knows that that is the. If we, these sprites are really tiny, but yeah, if we take a look here, see, that right there is our sprite with the transparency. Let's go back to Game Maker. Now I'm going to go into my sprites here as Symphonia, and let's go ahead and re-end. Edit image. Wait, excuse me. Import. And go to my desktop again. It would be CS Remake, SPR, Symphonia. Open all 3 of these. And let me also go ahead and... Right, let's hit play and see what it does. My question is if I animate it at... Let's say we animate it like 15 FPS. FPS. I want to keep it like that. And current frame. Collision mask. Wait, edit image. Okay, that might be an issue. So, what we're going to do really quickly is we are going to actually go ahead and weave. For some reason, it did not erase the bottom part of both of these shoes, so let's go ahead and do that. There we go, and let's see how that looks. That is adorable. I love that. Oh my god. Woo! So dumb. But it is so cute. I love it. Actually, the one thing I might do is go in later and add a little more hair to her up top. But I think outside of that, there's not really too much more I can do with this model. So yeah, let's go and hit play. Well, every once in a while you just have these issues. I have been having issues with RTP lately. Compile errors, there are no errors. Let me do something. File. First I'm going to save project in case there's an issue. Edit. Build. Windows, syntax error, breakpoints, tools, help, should be, okay, preferences, and then I think it should be under runtime feeds, yeah. Platform settings, plugins, tile sets, frame editor. You can actually change your background image as well. Verbose compiling. I don't know. Feather settings, marketplace, platform settings, runtime, feed, master. All right. Let's download the old one. I don't delete my old runtimes, mainly just because I find that I have issues with that. If you have an issue, you might need to install new runtime. That's just usually what I've found helps. It takes it a second. But the RTP is probably your most important bit of software with any engine you're going to use, because you need to give people that RTP, and you need to make sure your RTP works, or else you can't test it. I don't know why the RTP has been so buggy recently. See here, current one I'm using is an old runtime. It might have just crashed. I think it might have just crashed. Oh boy. Yeah, well, you're going to run into stuff like this occasionally where your games just keep crashing and not wanting to work. This is the fun part of development, where you slam your head against the wall repeatedly and hope you can get something to work. But I have saved what I need, so if this were to cancel. Ah, shoot. Let's just call it a day for now, but actually, let me go ahead and open what will quickly become your best friend whenever you're doing this. Task Manager. Let me see if Yo-Yo is running anything in the background. Because if Yo-Yo is, that might be... No, Wondershare Studio. Wait, what? I could have sworn I have... Oh, Wondershare's closed. Server host Yo-Yo. I was about to say, I'm not editing a video right now. There's no Filmora. Yeah, let's force it to shut down. Yeah, every once in a while you'll just run into issues like that. But just while I'm thinking about it. So the reason I say you want to make a basic art style like this is it depends on what type of game you're doing. Because, like, look at this. This is a very simple art style, and I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. In fact, I think it's more impressive when you can do more with less. But here's the thing, even if it's a simple art style, you can still have other ways to make up for it. Like, one that immediately comes to mind to me is Anno Mutatianum. If you look at the sprites, they do look really nice. But look at this. The beauty is coming from, like, the shaders and everything else going around it. And the actual, like, the 3D environments are fairly detailed. Trying to remember, but if you look at, like, the sprites, there's not a lot of coloring on this. Like, it's that leg, I think, probably only has like 2 shades on it, and that works for that game. Like, if they made these legs ultra detailed, I don't think the game would work as well. Because it's the everything else going on around it that makes it more impressive. Like with this sprite right here, the blue outline, that's what kind of gives it its personality, and if you look, it's kind of shaded over it. And in Game Maker, you have shaders, you have particle effects. So if we want to do stuff like that, we actually can. Which is kind of the angle I want to go with this game. Because with particles and shaders, I'm decent at coding particles, okay with shaders, but I think I can learn that. So, yeah, I think I'm going to make this a shorter stream and just cut off for now. I know I said in the title I would start on animation, but I don't think today's a good day to do that because I need to debug whatever was going on with my engine, and that might take about an hour and a half. And that's the kind of thing where I know while I know it's a big part of development to debug, that isn't something that this early on I think would be an interesting stream to do. Is just me sitting here and trying to debug Game Maker. But anyway, yeah, I think that covers about everything I wanted to do today outside of engine. But I will say, when it comes to spriting, when it comes to art style, I think the key to it is consistency. So if you have an art style, unless your art style is lack of single art style, so I think like Amazing World of Gumball did that. I want to say there's a game that it's like on the tip of my tongue, but there are a few games where they'll take art styles that clash and put them together, and it just kind of works. Like if you're making a concept that's kind of like a Wreck-It Ralph kind of thing where it's a whole bunch of different games come together, yeah, try to, if you don't want to make it cohesive and you feel like you can make it work, go for it. I would love to see it. But overall, you want it to be cohesive. If you have simple styles for one character, you need to make it simple for every character. If you have a system where it focuses more on particles and effects than the actual sprites, then, still make the sprites look decent, obviously. Like with these sprites right here with Anam Mutantianum, I said there's not a lot of shading work, but that is partially not true. If you were to... I don't usually... So if you were to look at like the sprite work here, let's just zoom in on the back here. If you see there's maybe only like 3 or 4 shades on each. However, what makes this work is the glowing bracelets, and everything else has like all these effects on it. So it's like you look at the environment around it, you look at the movement and everything else. What makes this game work is pretty much the fact that even though these sprites have fairly simple designs, it's a consistency. Like, the blue outline on this character, I want to say that's a shader in game. Like, you can't really see it right now, but it does kind of flicker and animate a little bit. But yeah, like look at the car scene. Like if you had this car in a different game, like say a game where it's supposed to look hyper realistic, this wouldn't work. But it kind of meshes well and it works well because they designed around this simple art style. Or since I'm talking about fairly simple art styles, another one that comes to mind is let me see. I think it's like Rogue. That's not Rogue Legacy. Streets of Rogue. That's what it is. Streets of Rogue. If you look at this game, for example, Streets of Rogue, what makes this art style work is the particles and the shaders as well. And this is kind of a simpler one to look at. That's why I picked this one. Which, if you have not played Streets of Rogue, do yourself a favor and go play it. It's like, best way I can describe it is Deus Ex meets shoot, what's the game called? Spelunky. Like, it is a stupidly fun game. And if you look at this, yeah, it's like the shaders and the effects that make this work, even though these sprites are pretty much non-expressive in any way. What makes it work is the effects and everything else they use. So if your strength is not art style, you can make it work in other ways. And I'm not saying that these sprites in some ways don't look very aesthetically pleasing. A lot of them do. Like if you were to put gameplay of this looping as a background and cut out the UI, then I can absolutely see you saying, yeah, it's aesthetically pleasing. But a lot of games go for that. And let's just say you're going for something that isn't 2D. If you're looking at 3D stuff, the Persona series does it fairly well. In Persona 5, like the assets all mesh well. Or heck, if you're going with 3D assets in a more 2D sphere, there is one company that I think everyone's going to immediately recognize when I point to them. Arc Systems Works. Like, look at Guilty Gear Strive graphics. Look at this. Like, this This is 3D models, but it looks like you're watching an anime with how much detail they add into it. Sorry, I'm just kind of nerding out a whole lot. But even if we go back to more of a 3D style, one game that I talked about briefly was Fatum Batula. So this game, graphically, it's not designed to look the most aesthetically pleasing, but look at this. All of this looks like it's on an old PlayStation. The graphical consistency here works. This is from the trailer. That's not from the actual game. But if you look at this graphically, yeah, this all looks consistent. Like if you look at two shots from this game, these look like they're from the same game. It just works. But if you were to put this into, if you were to say take an asset flip, sometimes it doesn't look like that. Like Goat Simulator, I love it to death, but sometimes it has this issue. Or actually, no, I know the perfect one. New Donk City. Actually, no, I'm not thinking New Donk. It's Sonic 06. That's what it is. I just thought, oh, humans in Cartoon City. Look at this. Like, you look at Sonic, you look at the designs of the human characters. That's what makes it so off-putting. If this character was, like, designed like maybe Sora or something where it's supposed to fit, then I feel like it would still be weird, but it would at least make some sense. Like, I mean, I'm not pointing at this because I don't like Sonic 06. I mean, I don't like Sonic 06. I'm going to be blunt. I don't think that's a controversial statement. But the reason I'm pointing this one out, look at the grass, look at Sonic, look at the girl. Grass and girl, yeah, that you can see that being from the same game. And then there's a cartoon blue hedgehog. Like, it just doesn't fit with everything else going on here. And I'm not saying you can't do that effectively if you build around it, but sometimes you just can't make it work, and you need to kind of acknowledge that. But yeah, having a kind of a all-encompassing art style, or something that's designed to be fit over the entire game, I would say that's the better idea than going for the most aesthetically pleasing 4K high-res thing possible. Granted, if that's the style you're going for, do it. But if you're going for a simpler style where shaders and particle effects kind of carry the game more, that might be what is the best option for you. Mainly because for me, at least, I'm better with coding than I am with art. So it would be better for me to kind of give the art less attention and focus more on the coding aspects, because that I know I can do. So if that's part of why I said I want to make it a fairly simple piece of art, because then what I can do is I can just make slight edits of the Symphonia and chorus sprites for expressive moments, or I can animate the arms very briefly for cutscenes, because I don't like the idea of their arms constantly being out, because that's more to animate. And if you look at it, it's something that a lot of games actually do to some extent, like Undertale. That's the one that immediately comes to mind when I think of this for some reason. I mean, the trees look great, but if you look graphically at most of this, Frisk does not look amazing. I'm not saying this in a derogatory way. I'm more so saying, like, look at all this and it fits together well. Like, you can say what you want about how simplistic these graphics are. They absolutely are. But they fit together well, and obviously the strength of Undertale's art is more so in that black and white art style that is used for things like boss fights or standard fights. That's more so what works. And then aside from that, we have a few more that I want to just briefly touch on. I would say, at least on my end, the reason I want to get start graphics early is that way we can have something to look at in the game. Because here's the thing. For as much as looking at a box moving around feels like a good start, if you don't start putting those sprites in, if you don't spend time doing the other stuff like sprites, adding music, it's not really going to feel like the game's going anywhere, because similar to when you're playing games, you need that feedback. You need that feeling of you're making progress, and it's usually easier to, just make a sprite that's fairly simple and is there to test animations than it is to make something overly complicated. And what I will say is I'm probably going to scale the sprite up because it's only 16 pixels tall, which is ridiculously short. But if we were to take that in Game Maker, which is ironically enough what Undertale was made in, and scale it up by a factor of 6 on X and Y, then we would have something there. Especially since this is designed to look goofy when it's moving around. The only things I might add, now that I think about it, is I might try to put a little shadow under it of some kind, just so you kind of have some idea where you're standing. Number one. Number two, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the center of that sprite to under the legs. Because that way you can easily check where things are. That's kind of where everything's centered, so it's going to read for that when it reads for something. That, and we can move the collision box to go right under the head. Because if we move collision to right under the head's not moving up and down at all. So we can just kind of add stuff as we need to that. But yeah, I think that about covers everything for today. I would say the only thing I might go back and do off stream is I mentioned that I wanted to keyframe the scarf. You know what? Actually, let's do that right now. Let's make that the last thing we do today, just so we can do one more thing. So let's go ahead and move that over just a tad so we have more space to work with here. I'm going to go ahead and deselect it. And then I'm going to actually do the sprite unpacker thing again later. It's just right now, that's not what's most important with this. What's most important is trying to get these keyframes right. So this is going to be our middle frame with that scarf. So with this, we don't really have much that we need to do. We just need to make sure that it's on there. Now I want to put the scarf about back here. There we go. So that makes the scarf kind of look like it's hanging on the side, which is what it's supposed to do. It's a scarf. Now, if we go ahead to this next one right here, I want it to kind of go out like that. So yeah, because we have it going down 3, let's have it go down to 4 right here. And I will say the one issue I am noticing here is there's a little bit of jagginess to that scarf. So I'm going to do one more thing with it. Let's kind of remove the jagginess to it. So I'm going to put a little bit on the sides here. Just to kind of bulk the scarf up a tad. There we go. Now it's kind of going off to the side like that. And let's do that just so... Because it is a scarf, you don't want it to really look sharp on the edges. So, yeah, that honestly looks a little better. So, let's do it with this one too. So, let's say about right there. And then with the just default one, we do it like that. And if we kind of zoom out here, so yeah, when the character's going to walk, it's going to wave that scarf back. I kind of want to do just a little bit more with that idea. Give me 1 second. I'm going to actually move that up so that way the scarf goes up and down a tad. So about right there. Actually, if we move it down, Eh. Actually, yeah, that kind of looks fine. And then we also kind of need to, just going to add one more detail here. So, since the legs go behind, we should probably just add a little bit of shading right there. And oh, I accidentally opened the magnifier. No, I don't want to do that. Alright. It's going to be this one right here. And yeah, if we take a look at this, like that looks a whole lot better than what we started out with. And then maybe I'll shape the scarf a tad. Let's just do that too while I'm thinking about it. So that way we can kind of make it look like it's dropping a bit. So like that. And then this one, I'm going to put that shading in the middle. And then with this one, shading is going to go on the end. Yeah, so like that. Let me go ahead and zoom that out. It'll probably look better in motion, but that covers about everything we want to do with this. At most, what I might do later is go back and make the scarf a whole lot longer. Or let me make one more adjustment here. Image, canvas size, set that right there. Let's up the height by 23. I want to just kind of I want to do something with the pixels here. So yeah, let's say for starters, let's get rid of all the white here, because that's the same shade of white as her hair color. So if we hit fill right now, it's going to fill part of her hair in, and it's still gonna. Oh no, it's not. It's not for some reason. All right. Let me go ahead and add some more definition to this hair, just so we have something. So what I might actually do. I've always liked the idea of, oh, let's give her that little cowlick. That is adorable. Oh my god. And then, yeah, I think I'm getting it. So if we do something like that, that looks a little bit better, because then we also have something else to express with. Because little Ahoge right there. That actually looks pretty good. Impressed with that. And then we can also go down a tad here. And let's go ahead and edit the hair some more, just while I'm thinking about it. We can also do this, where it kind of in the middle. Nah, I don't like that. I don't like it when it kind of has that feel to it. What if we put a little bit of white right there? Well, actually, yeah, that doesn't break it up enough. So let's grab the gray and put it in the middle just a little more. Alright, and what if we just went ahead and we added another white highlight kind of on the edge right there. If we did this, is that gonna look weird at all? Yeah, that brings the hair out just a tad more than I want it to go. I will say though, one thing we're definitely gonna do is we're gonna go and we're going to take just a little bit off that side. Actually. I mean, yeah, there's not really too much you can do with such a limited color palette. But I feel like it, you know, for what it is, it works. Yeah, let's do that. And boom. Yeah, she looks good. She looks good. Just add, I want to kind of add one more thing to this, and that is maybe some accessories right here. We'll go on in a minute. But yeah, that I just liked it. It's so simple and adorable. And we can just make like hands. Actually, let's do that really quickly. Let's kind of, just to give you an idea of what we're probably going to do for the hands. So with these, I'm not going to outline them because I don't think outlining these sprites will really help, because I'm going to make the floors a little bit of a different shade to contrast this. So let's make a hand. So a hand will probably look about like this, and then just depending on how it's used, it's going to be like a gun, or pretty much whatever we need it to be is going to be in that hand. So it pretty much just acts as a... These sprites are going to just be the bass player sprite. And then attacks are going to be drawn separately. That, and it lets us focus on that elemental system. Because effect sprites are probably going to be what most of the sprites end up being, and those I'm fairly decent with. But yeah, the character look here, that's kind of about what I wanted character-wise. I'm going to do one thing. There, that's more what I wanted. Yeah, so now it just kind of slopes over the side a tad. But it still looks good. Actually, let me try one thing. If I do that. What we can also do here is this. Where her hair is going to just go slightly forward whenever she's walking. Because what I'm probably going to do is put this sprite in the middle, and then that'll look kind of funny, honestly. Because I can't get over how adorable it is when they're actually walking with that sprite. Let me check, actually, if Game Maker is having a consistent issue, or sometimes it's just your software just doesn't want to boot right. Because if it boots up fine, we can spend a small bit of time working on that. And if not, we are going to call it a night. I'm going to go ahead and just file save that. And then for chorus, we can take this exact same concept, because we still have that skeleton built. Alright, so it opened up just fine. Loading. Okay, I think it loaded the previous runtime. Piece review. Oh well, it's just not wanting to do it, and I'm not the best with sprites, so we'll want to check what the sprite actually looks like. Let's go ahead and just look at this one more time though, because it's adorable. Like, look at that. So if we do like that, yeah, that's more so what I'm looking for. Because that right there, that looks about right. That walk cycle is so stupid. I love it. Yeah, the only issue we might run into is with Chorus. He's not going to be so skinny, so I'm probably just going to widen his torso out at the top and keep the pants going down. Because I'm going to try to give characters like small flowing effects of some kind. But yeah, what I need to do and I'm going to do between streams, is I'm going to try to figure out what's going on with this. Let me try one more thing. If we go into File, Preferences, Runtime Feeds. We hit clean runtimes now. What that usually does is it cleans out runtimes that are kind of useless. Let's see if there's an old one. So these are the 2022 patches. I know I had it working on the last one I did. We restore defaults. Okay, let's hit it. Let's see if that did anything. I doubt it did. Something with Igor. I don't know if there's a program I'm running that could be interfering with it. I want to say whenever I start streaming, my programs might be running interference on each other on accident. But all that aside, I'm excited with where this project is going, because like making simple sprites like that's going to make the rest of this process fairly easy, because we can just take characters like Symphonia. And if we wanted to make Chorus, all we would really need to do is take, let's see, with the skeleton that we have here. I want to say it's still there. So if we take the skeleton, turn that on, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit. This is, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to erase. Oh shoot. The stuff over on the skeleton side. There we go. And if we turn that off, we can go ahead and... shoot, I drew on that layer, didn't I? Let's see, if we turn that off, we can go ahead and finish that layering. And if we turn Symphonia on here, yeah, we might change how a few things will look here and there, but I feel like overall, and then deselect it, these four can come off. Yeah, it's these. Perfect. Boom. We have our template. And I'm gonna do a file save as template .pdn. But yeah, I think Game Maker's just kind of having some issues right now. But I feel like if I take a look at it off stream, I can probably fix it. But yeah, we have our sprites, and actually I'm kind of curious if we were to take this down to 15. Yeah, that'll work. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing with most of these, is knock them down to around 15 FPS. Because I think if you can animate the sprite slower on its own personal frame rate, and it's not really going to affect the overall running frames of the game. Because going for that lower sprite style, lower FPS with the player characters and enemies, that I think will make sense. Especially since what we can do... I want to check one thing while I'm just thinking about it. Since I have Symphonia's Scarf, that might affect this. But might as well check while we have this prototype open. Let's see what happens when we take the face mask down. So if we do something like this, and I think I want, yeah, let's make it that different shade right there. Actually, yeah, you want to do it about like that, and then mouth, I'm going to make that black. Just because that way you can kind of, yeah, so that's like a, that looks so dopey. But yeah, like if a character's smiling, for example, you bring the eyes up a bit on the face, or you can just do... if you want to do something really smug, you can do that. Or you can do something like this, where you take the eye and eyebrow up a level. Look, all I'm trying to say is there are kind of options here, what you want to do. So if you say you want to keep it with the flesh color to make it look more like lips, that also works. It's just putting it under the eye always. But yeah, like something like that we can easily do. If we want to, let's see here. I'm going to do this as a file, save as Phonia proto reveal .png. That way we can actually, we have two separate ones stored. That, and what I also might do is if the chin could come out just a tad. Actually, yeah, if we bring the chin out. That's a little too much. Did not mean to give Symphonia like a double chin. If we could do something like maybe that would work, and then we can just do, let's take the deeper shades again, just for the sake of this. There we go. Now we have kind of like a actually that makes her look like she has a really big chin. Oh boy. But yeah, we can still be fairly expressive with it. So say we wanted to make a character blush. We can have a layer here. And if we were to, let's take, like, I think about that shade of red, pump that up a bit to be more pinkish, and then yeah, because you also blush behind your ears. So like you can see that, and then maybe if we go back to like the base sprite, we can do something like this. You know, it's about finding fairly basic means of just making the sprite feel right. Actually, I kind of like that. If we just did it like that. Oh, you know what? That actually might make this look better. I just realized something. She doesn't have ears. So if we do that, and then let's just try it out on this one as well. Oh yeah, that looks better with the little ear back there. And then we can add maybe one of. Actually, no, because you would have maybe a low going right there. Yeah, I like that. I like that with the little ear added in. Oh boy, like just these. But you see what I mean? Like these small changes can make so much of a difference. Or if we wanted to take her head and let's say put a t-shirt on her, we can do that fairly easily too. But it's like when you have a more open face like that, yeah, there's more expressions that we can actually do with the faces. So we can put the blush on there, as I mentioned earlier. So let's just go ahead and erase all that just for this video, just for the sake of putting something else on there. So let's say anger. What we can do is we can, because usually when you're angry, you furrow your eyebrows. So like take the eyebrows here. Keep them like about like that. And then let's go back to that expression layer that I added, and let's just say little anchor mark here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and move that around, try to figure out. Wait, am I doing the anchor mark wrong? I could have sworn that's here. Oh, it's 4 of them. Oh. Yeah, so it would be more. It would more so be like. We need to make it fairly simply. Actually, what if we did this more so in the eyes? Yeah, so usually your brows furrow, but you also tend to close your eyes more. So let's do that, and then put yeah, if your eyes are down like that, then I could just do something like this, and that, and what I'm probably going to do in Game Maker is double the size of these. So if they are about twice the size, we can actually add more details on the eyes. But actually, does it look better if this is a? Oh, that actually kind of looks better. Yeah, I kind of like that more. Right, and I'm also going to go ahead and just shade a few more things in. Maybe make her look a little more pissed. Yeah. Actually, yeah, let's change the mouth color to like black. But yeah, see, we can add these like small details to the face, or say we wanted her to be sad or embarrassed, and I think the only one that I still want to check is if we can. And this one's just going to be me kind of having some fun with it. If we can do... Oh my word, actually, does that darker one on top look better? Oh, yeah, because if they're happy, that looks better. And then if it's kind of more so a downtrodden look, we can do that. Or maybe we should just... top the mask off with a different red and change the bottom red here to a different red as well and see how that looks. Maybe change the scarf to a dark red. But yeah, there's just a lot you can do with sprites. It's kind of the main point of this video. Before everything went crazy after my engine started crashing and all that. But yeah, we like if you look right here, like Angry Symphonia, for example, we can do that, and then we could maybe have the like, see, here's my issue. If you do it like this, then she looks relaxed. Now she looks a little more normal. And if you want to have a character's eyes really go up, so I would say squash them like this. Say, yeah, and then have this one pop out. Oh, that might be the angle to go with, actually. If we make those eyes bigger. Oh my god, her eyes are massive now. But it kind of works weirdly enough. I don't know, I kind of like it with those massive dumb eyes. See, that's part of why I like to fiddle with my sprites a bit. Because sometimes you find something like this where you're like, yeah, that looks more so like what I wanted. Let's just do a little bit of fiddling with this part to kind of get the... I would say, those are the parts that I know for sure. So if we uncover the face completely, and then usually I would put the eyebrows back on, but let's experiment with the face a little bit. It could be fun. So if we put, yeah, that's where the eyebrow usually is. But if we move this up by 1, so we go out by 1, and that, because if I remember correctly, both of my eyes are squares. So we could do that, but then make it more rectangular. See, without the pupils, your eyes are just going to kind of look a little weird. I want to say the only big issue you're kind of running into that is with the face mask. It does look a little awkward to go down to 3. 1, 2, and then... Actually, what if we went ahead and we put the eyes up one instead? So if we do like that, and that, and then I need to grab an something for the eyebrows. So you know what if we go ahead and we make a very dark but not quite black version of this. So it's like that will be our eyebrows. And I'm gonna go ahead and add the eyes. It looks kind of dumb, but I love it. Alright, and then gonna have a pupil over in the corner right there. Wait, oh shoot, yeah, let's go ahead and cut the eye down just a tad, and that honestly looks a little better with it kind of cut down to the side. I mean, that we can actually do stuff with the eyebrows now. Well, if we go ahead and we make it very clear, hey, this is where the face kind of ends. And then also we need to put yeah, that way, so if we have eyes that are kind of square like this, the amount of options of what we can actually do if we have these larger eyes is kind of insane. Because say we want to have her kind of look down, we can do that. Or look up, we can do that. Look down to the side, we can do that. We can't really have her look directly forward. And then if you want her to have more so a squinting look, you just take this slightly darker shade and then you do that. I actually kind of love that. I really love that look with the bigger eyes. I might make that the norm. I might actually make that the norm, because with those bigger eyes you can do so much with them compared to the only 4 you have here. So like if I want to give her a more neutral look, I can put the pupils in the middle. If I want to give her a more, I mean, heck, even if you want to look stupid, you can do that. Actually, no, this would probably look weirder. Yeah, if we make it, let's just make it like normally look like that with maybe the little red highlights at the top. Because that gives us enough to make her not just expressive in the eyes, but we can also do more with it. And then if we go down to the rest of the face, just to kind of show what more we can do with that, because the eyes are so much of how you actually express. Let's say we want her to make a more so smiley face. We would widen the pupils out. And actually I'm gonna go ahead and move around where these colors are. We kind of widen the pupils out and put be a much lighter color there. Put a darker color up here. Yeah, that, like, see, that looks like she's smiling. More so than what we had before. Or if we want to make her angry. Yeah, making those eyes just one layer taller, you can do so much more. Let's do... So I'm going to go ahead and start by putting one right there and one right there. And then we're going to, for the eyebrows, we're going to do that. Like, look at that. Look at that. See, it's surprising what you can actually do if you just give it, like, a little bit more. So, like, if we want the eyebrow to go over there. So now she looks mad. Or, let's go back to the more happy face that we put her at a moment ago. If we want her to be kind of blushing a bit, or more smug face, then we will cut it down like that. And then grab that mouth. Yeah, we'll use that darker shade when the mouth's actually open. But and then, like, right here, if we take a very light pink and we do that, I used to be kind of a, yeah, let's do that. Then yeah, we have like her blushing. Let's go back here, and since I mentioned if the mouth is open, let's say we want her to be kind of having an open grin. Because, like, that looks more like an open grin. Or like she's talking. That looks like her smiling. And I think that's kind of what we want to go with at the end of the day, is something like this, where it's fairly easy to make her emote. Even with the mask on, we have a lot of control over the eyes. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing, is taking these sprites and just extending that eye by even 1 or 2 pixels makes it so you can actually do a whole lot more. Actually, one more for fun. One more for the road. And, well, this one's actually kind of a... But first, I'm gonna... File. Save. Proto reveal PDN, that one's in there. So, yeah, the white eyes are kind of creepy. We can definitely do that for a few specific characters, though. So let's say we want our eyes to be closed. What we can do is we can take her eyebrows. And with this one, we'll do it like that. With this one, I'm just going to cut the corner off right here. And kind of leave it like right there. And then if she has her eyes closed, I'm going to take these very dark ones. Oh, wait. Leave eyebrows right there. That will probably be our issue. Yeah, if we just leave the eyebrows right there, we should be fine. Look, so we can just put eyelashes like right here. And boom. Now she has her eyes closed. And we can still do a whole lot with that. Where it's like if... So yeah, like you go up if they're relaxed. Oh, that, I'm going to be honest, what if we added one more shade to all of these? So we have a light blue, we have this blue, and I think we probably should get one between that and the very dark. Let's see if this works. Yeah, that'll work. Ooh, yeah. If we do it in a lighter shade like that, yeah, I think I'm getting onto something. So if we let's actually do everything in this lighter shade, like this more pastel art style right now. So like if we do, is that dark enough? No, it's not dark enough to differentiate. What now? Oh yeah, I kind of like it with these more muted colors. So we have that one, and then I think we should go with the really dark one as well. A little too dark. Fairly dark. Okay, there. So if we go with this more light art style, that might be, honestly, that might work better. Yeah, because like, look at that. That looks a whole lot better to me. Because you can just kind of make these little small edits here. Maybe let's put a little more to show that there's a shoulder here. So I would say if we have it kind of, look at that. That honestly looks so much better with that more minimalist art style. Yeah, because like the less variation we have between the shades. Alright, so let's do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add her eyes in. So I want to use, well, shoot. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, I still have it over here. I want to use the two lighter shades for the eyes. So let's do that one, and then since she kind of needs pupil, well, and then there's our kind of dark one. Let's put that at the back. Actually, what if we based it off of this? Yeah, so we have that one. And then I just need a, yeah, what if we did that? Like, what if we did a kind of lighter shade like that? And then, actually, yeah, I'm also going to go ahead and kind of trim it down right there. Okay, yeah, that looks better. Because now all those shades kind of match. But I also want that scarf there, but I don't know how dark I can really put it before it becomes an issue. Like, let's look at that. That looks so much better than what we had face-wise. But more importantly, what we can also do here is we can actually kind of like shade that a little more if we want to. Or what we can do with the scarf, actually, you know what if we made the scarf like this really light shade and just kind of did that. And then I'm going to take this darker one we have, kind of divide the torso up, give it a little bit of something like that. With, let's use a darker one over here just so clear that, hey, that's kind of, that goes. And if we do the darkest shade possible here, on the edges only, just to, because that way we kind of have like a border for it, and then we do this kind of normal shade here. Like, look at that. Compare that to that, and I think you can easily see why I want to take the time to work on these sprites. That, and let's go ahead and just a few small adjustments. That can go, do it like that. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe we should also go ahead and just kind of cut some of the parts of the skirt off the side. Let's put something down. I would say down right about here. Yeah, let's look at the Symphonia sprite we have here. So there was that pleated skirt, but we could also just as well change it. Oh, people are lighting fireworks outside. Well, I actually think we could also, yeah, if we keep that whole red aesthetic here, we can also just kind of give it a little bit of a belt right about here with the yeah, like look at that. Actually, I might do that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the rest of this that's kind of just sitting here. Actually, no, that needs to stay on, just so there's kind of a obvious, hey, this is where the scarf is. Actually, no, that looks too much like a part of the other item. Do that. Tell you what I can do though. is go ahead and make this go down a tad more. Okay, yeah, that's a much more believable hairline. And then we have that. Okay. Actually, since I want that to tuck back, let's do a 2 grays right there. And then for the pants, we need to do some work on these. Alright. Yeah, let's take the stockings idea from earlier and use it again. Yeah, you have something like that, and then we can go ahead and we can put the boots on. Put this up. Alright. Actually, let's go ahead and do it right here. Alright, so we have that one, and then I think, if I remember correctly with how this whole thing works, it should be right about there. Maybe add a slight midriff cut here. I do like that cut around the midriff. But I also do not think I want to give her like a I don't want to make it look like she's wearing like thigh highs. Yeah, because like if you look at the original, there's a gap right here. Maybe just add a. What was that? I think I got a text from someone. Okay. Well, let's just continue that really quickly. I'm trying to figure out. So if we do something like that. Yeah, in the original, the scarf is tied around the neck, so it doesn't really show up at all, but I kind of like the idea of it at least having some presence up here. Let's see here. Yeah, I want to keep that really dumb walk cycle look, though. The only thing I might do is add more frames to it. Because while it's a dumb-looking walk cycle, and I kind of like that. Like, see, there's kind of a gap right here. What we could do, put a little white right there. Wait. No, if we I mean, yeah, if she's based on speed, I kind of... That makes sense. Yeah, so there would be that, and then... Just kind of put a... around it. Well, this is getting to be a little too much. Here, maybe what we should do... Yeah, let's do this. Let's take that same outline and just kind of go over it with an actual piece of clothing. and see with like the clothing shades and see if that does anything. Yeah, it still feels like it has definition to it. Daniel's one right back here. Yeah, because that's only if they're acting like kind of normal. All right, yeah. So we we accidentally. Well, it worked kind of. So. And then maybe just kind of a small midriff. I wouldn't say anything too scantily clad here. So yeah, like right there, I would say belly button. Yeah, and then this. I just realized that we accidentally might have gone a tad too far. Yeah, let's cut the midriff down just a tad more. And then gonna go ahead and add one more touch to this with so yeah, let's make these red. I mean, that, and before someone asks, oh, this is impractical armor. She's supposed to be a character who's quick on her feet and light, so I felt like having more so a tank top or a, I guess, more traditional, not really any thick armor on her. Compared to like what you'll see on some of the other members of the cast. Actually, let's take that and just kind of move it up a tad. I think that might be part of our issue. If we just take this and we kind of go one more up, I feel like that might work. Yeah, it still feels like it's there, but it doesn't feel like it's intentionally supposed to be like that. Yeah. And then we kind of just need to, yeah, that looks a whole lot better if we just kind of have it like that. And then midriff just isn't going far up enough, I don't think. So if we were to go maybe one more up. And just add, let's add a little tonnage under, so I'd say right about here we make a line. Actually, yeah, that kind of feels better now that I think about it without the midriff. We just kind of go down a little bit more. Then we can still have that little bit of skin, maybe right here. And just go down like that. Yeah. Ooh, I kind of like it with that wrap too. So if we, yeah, and then I'm gonna do one more touch here. Boop, boop, boop. If we do that, then we kind of have a little bit more, I guess, room to work with might be the best way to say it. And then we just kind of have to do that. And we just take like that like semi-light one, fairly light one over here, and use that on just at the very least kind of the edges of this. Actually, what if we did it like that? Like had it go up just a tad bit more. With the boots like that. That, and let's just kind of do something like that for right now. So we just kind of have something. Yeah. We can also go ahead and add, let's see, one more dark layer onto both sides of these. then... Alright, so if we... There we go. Yeah, they exist now. And just kind of go below it a tad. Add that detail. And go ahead and kind of go up with this one too, I guess. If we do a little bit lower. So, and then take this, take the second darkest shade, kind of put that under it so she has more of a boot. Maybe put some right here. Oh yeah, that... The only issue I really have now is what to do with these legs. And I'm gonna be honest, part of me just wants to kind of say, screw it, take about that much off the top of this. Maybe a little more off the top. Okay, maybe just most of it. So that way we still have the little something around the legs. And then I'm going to actually add that midriff back in because I feel like now that the proportions are a little more defined. If we add something like that back in, it's going to look really weird now. Yeah, that honestly kind of works if we just do maybe that and close the stomach a little more. Maybe a little more like this. Take that up by 1 so it's not taking up about half of her body. See, it'd be easier to just let that be the... Oh, wait a second. No, this should keep going off to the side. And then we take this. And now that it is outlined, we go one more down. Wait, we do need to shade the side right here so it doesn't look like she, but yeah, what I'm gonna pull a color from the other ones really quickly. Usually I find it's better to have a darker shade for something like this, so you can, boom, there's the belly button. Wait a second. That might be my issue. If I go up by 1 and start the midriff right about here. Yeah, that looks a little better. If we just go up by 1. See, that's the funny thing with sprites. It's like the little things that make it look better. It's never, oh, I made like this drastic change. The sprite looks amazing. It's always like, oh yeah, that 1 pixel is moved. That looks a whole lot nicer. At least in my experience. If you're actually good at this, it's probably more so, oh, I know exactly what he's doing wrong and you're just sitting laughing at me. Which at least you're having fun. So... don't want her to look really sexualized, but yet at the same time it's like I kind of like the idea of having a midriff there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab that really dark one really quickly, and that will be the shade for those. For this, we're gonna go ahead and grab that. Up. Look at that. That is what we're gonna work with now. But yeah, see, it's like the small things you can do to sprites to make them look better. And I just spent like an hour and a half after I said I was gonna quit. Dear Lord. Alright, well anyway, till next time guys, this is Sharp Z signing off.